We are learning more from the ethics investigation into DC Councilmember Jack Evans. The DC law firm that headed up the investigation says they collected almost 250,000 documents that convinced them that DC's longest-serving lawmaker committed 11 ethical violations. Janice Park tells us for hours today, DC council members questioned the attorneys who said time after time that Evans broke the rules that dictate a code of conduct for legislators.
Two lawyers from the D.C. law firm O'Melveny sat directly across from D.C. council members Tuesday, explaining for hours how they pieced together a 97-page ethics investigation report into Ward 2 council member Jack Evans. Lead attorney Steve Bunnell says a team of 8 lawyers and 2 paralegals collected over 240,000 documents, interviewed 16 witnesses, and interviewed Jack Evans himself 4 times.
Whether you are willfully violating, say, the conflict of interest provision, or whether you just don't pay attention to it and you violate it. I think it's an ethical violation either way.
The lawyers, who have decades of experience litigating congressmen and trying fraud and ethics cases at the Department of Justice, found that Evans engaged in 11 ethical violations since 2014. The report accused Evans of trying to influence a Pepco-Exelon merger and running his consulting business out of his government office. D.C. council members also asked the lawyers about Evans' lengthy response denying the findings, where the council member says any errors were not intentional, instead a misunderstanding of the rules.
We didn't try to get inside Mr. Evans' head. I do think that their letters to us basically just say, surely this is not a violation. And they put that in italics. They do it 3 or 4 times. But that's not a substitute for actually explaining why it's not a violation and citing the language of the code, which they don't do.
Councilmember Charles Allen expressed today that he was unhappy that Evans' interviews were not done under oath, as they consider punitive measures, including expelling Evans from the council. While the D.C. City Council continues to discuss what to do about Jack Evans, Monday a recall petition was submitted. If approved, Evans' fate will be in the hands of the people that he serves. At the Wilson Building, Janice Park, WUSA 9.